Shameless France, at it again, in Senegal. After losing nearly 5 former African colonies to Russia, France has become increasingly paranoid and has begun to instigate a lot provocative constitutional anomalies in what is left of its colonial footprints on the continent. Many people do not know that the sitting president of Ivory Coast, Alassane Ouattara, is serving a previously unconstitutional third term in office today. As his second term approached its final months and elections drew closer, expectedly, Ouattara panicked and immediately announced he was going to seek another term in office, especially given the death of his hand-picked successor, which was shrouded in a lot of conspiracy. Protest immediately broke out as Ivorians questioned the rationale behind him seeking a third term when the constitution didn't allow for that. But of course, he found a way to touch things up to allow him break the infamous record. But why? It's simple. France is scared to death of new regimes in its African colonies. That's why we have the Senegal crisis today. Macky Sall has been in power since 2012. His 2-term tenure is expected to wrap up on April 2, 2024. He has repeatedly said he won't run for a third term in office, but his body language always says something different. Arguably, Sall is a France boy. The French are having palpitations about losing him and his unwavering support, especially given the wave of revolutionary reporting in the Sahel and elsewhere. Like the Ivorian president who hand-picked a successor that later died, Sall also has a hand-picked successor in the person of Prime Minister Amadou Ba. But people are speculating that Sall's pick is grossly unpopular and doesn't look like he'll defeat the opposition elements, prompting Sall's decision to move the elections, something that has never happened in Senegal. Before the postponement, Sall had banned and jailed opposition candidates on diverse charges of corruption and so on. The country's Constitutional Council has been busy lately, as many candidates have been told they couldn't run by the same council, and the Senegalese people say it's all a game to entrench himself in power. People now accuse the Constitutional Council of going against the constitution that it was set up to protect, just to please Sall. One opposition candidate, whom many believed stood the best chance of wresting power from Sall, is Ousmane Sonko. He's considered Sall's greatest challenger. In the last elections, Sonko came third, but was favored to take the crown this time. He is very popular with Senegalese youths, more like Nigeria's Peter Obi. Guess what? Sonko was disqualified for having criminal records and was imprisoned. He is still in detention. Sall claims institutional crisis led him to postpone the elections, but analysts say all the institutions that should work are working fine, and no crisis has emerged anywhere to warrant the postponement. That has now thrown the country into chaos. Guess what ECOWAS has done over these crises? Statements appealing for calm. They did that in Ivory Coast. They're doing that now in Senegal. No real action taken or to be taken. Not even a threat when France's interest is being protected and the peoples are downtrodden. But when someone shows up to steer the country away from colonial brigandage, France and the West will commandeer ECOWAS to threaten fire and brimstone. No wonder the Sahel brothers who recently pulled out of ECOWAS have begun warming up to receive Senegal in their fold. Senegalese opposition elements are also watching the double standard, and they're reading the news of what's become of their brother nations in the Sahel after kissing France and then ECOWAS goodbye and pitching their tents with Russia. This is the basis for France's fears. Bottom line, France is scared. They have no confidence in new regimes anymore. They want to find a way to entrench all the errand boy presidents of their remaining colonies on the continent. They want to infect the rest of them with the Cameroon-Togo constitutional disease of irreversible, lifetime entrenchment. Stay in power till you die, and when you die, let your offspring take over. Except we have another trusted stooge who will surrender all and serve us like you, or even do better than you. This where France is right now. So, while Africans are scratching their heads and trying to analyze the unanalyzable, France's secret hands have gone to work again in Africa as they try to protect, either by hook or crook, what is left of their loot in Africa. But for how long? Africans aren't as foolish and stupid as France makes us out to be. Our people will rise up one way or another, and they will take back what belongs to them, because this time is ours. It's Africa o'clock. It's not about Ouattara or Saul. It's about the evil, weary hands of an innately relentless enemy who would stop at nothing to empty its carcass of every drop of water and blood. But Africa is a moving train right now, and things aren't quite like before when we had no one to lean on. We do now. I know what time it is. It's Africa o'clock, or quarter past France. Stay tuned.